2 programs, 2 levels, 1 system, and this month,
Everything starts.
Welcome to 3 over 2 Hoops. I'm Coach Jessica Deliba.
I'm Coach Bob Belf, and we would like to introduce you to the system.
Welcome back to 3 over 2 Hoops. I'm Coach Jessica Deliba.
I'm Coach Bob Belf, and it has been a minute for us.
It has.
We wanted to do some discussion on a few items here today. Some things have changed on our behalf, and we want to make sure we do a little bit of a reflection on the year of what worked, what didn't. But first off, let's start with the news that Coach Jess, who after 2 years at Groves, is no longer the head coach.
That is correct. I have resigned at Birmingham Groves.
It is a perfect time to do some reflection based on that news, because now as she is applying for other things or looking for other things, she will be still with us, I hope, this year. But she gets to look back as to what went well, what didn't go well, what was some of your issues at Groves that we have to cover. So those are the type of things we want to cover today and see if we can maybe hit a couple hot spots that may be happening for some of you in your situations. So let me start with the first one. I just got off a text with another coach, and he said that his athletic director right now is having some questions about buy-in. And I do think this is based simply on, are you doing what you want to do? Are you doing what you expected? But are you competing? But let's talk about when you walked into Groves. Now, you did your second year this year. Mm-hmm. You flipped from a 6 and 16 to 18 and 7 this
Correct.
year. One would expect that to have smiles on everyone's faces. Not quite the case. So talk about buy-in, talk about selling, talk about the system overall in a situation.
Sure. I think from a player standpoint, buy-in was phenomenal. I mean, after every win, they sure did love throwing up W's, that we won, all of that. They had fun on the bench. They cheered. That's the most energy I think I've seen ever in a high school.
And they all played.
Program. And they all played. Even you would say players that wouldn't touch the floor, averaging 10 minutes a game. I mean, obviously, and everything's in the stats.
10 minutes out of 32 is still over a quarter. That's pretty good. All right, so in your bubble, so to speak, every day you go to practice and every day you got your coaches and everything, you aren't insulated by any stretch. But you feel pretty good about things are going well. You're setting records. Your players are accepting what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And then
won a district championship.
The third one in school history.
Yes.
Which is impressive. I know we covered that in the last episode. But
we did, but
where's the disconnect?
I would say disconnect comes from parents. I would say disconnect comes from your administration, but also the administrations of other schools that you're competing against. Because I heard that there were a lot of other schools, whether it be coaches, whether it be other athletic directors, that were emailing my program and complaining about certain things, that we shoot too many threes. Meanwhile, that's what we do. We press at the end of the game. We press. Your team wasn't special. We pressed everyone. Complaining about leaving my best player in the game, but no one comments the fact that I pull her out as well 45 seconds into the game. So, it's I believe it's high school politics.
Well, there's no question. I think every single person watching one of these is going to just be shaking their head like, yeah, because that's exactly what we see nowadays. Do you think, and now maybe I don't want to say you're in a unique situation, but you certainly made huge strides because you went to the system and because you have the personnel to fit it. But do you think you could have stemmed off some of that? Do you think that Is it unique to where you were? Is it something that you could have done different? And look at the success that you had. What about someone who's not as successful trying to run the system? Is that too many questions at once?
No. I think if someone's not successful, but everyone is playing and your kids are having a good time, I think that's important in that aspect, because you can still find the little nuggets that are positive. And maybe you have a kid that scored that wouldn't normally even score. Like, that's something that you can, I think, make it a big deal kind of thing. But it's probably a lot harder to, look, winning also brings other problems, right? So
yeah, it's not a panacea.
Yeah,
right.
and people, other teams start to dislike you because you're winning, because they obviously want to be in that position. But it's more of, you just have to make sure that, like, you are getting improvements. Your goal at the end of the day in the high school realm is that they are improving. Of course, not everyone wants to play college basketball, but they can still have a successful high school experience, even with their friends.
I felt at the end you got a lot of piling on. Like, if one person complained, all of a sudden 4 complained because this is my friend complaining.
Yes.
Not necessarily do they even know what they're complaining about. And that's, I don't know if that deters anything, but I do think that there's a little mob mentality at times with some of this.
Well, in high school, it's, peer pressure. That's all this stuff, that typical high school stuff, and especially with girls, dealing with girls, it's very different. It's people are influenced easily. We all went through high school.
Do you think there was a optimum, a better, effective way to reach your parents? I think every single one of us ask this all the time. I've been coaching a long time and ask this every year.
I think, here's the thing, if you're in a program that is already known for winning and used to winning, that's just what we do here. And if you start to lose, then parents are upset you're losing, right? But if you come into a program and it's a losing mentality, they've been losing for multiple years, now all of a sudden you're winning, and you're winning in a fashion that they're not used to. It's kind of like oh my God, what are we doing? Like, this doesn't look good. This is, and it's like, are you worried about the other team's feelings, or are you worried that your kids are doing something? And because I promise you, they're all going to use that district championship on their resume, aren't they?
No,
or all the accolades and school
all
records.
All over their Instagram, and they're putting on social media.
Right.
It's something they accomplished, yet they don't want to make anybody feel bad.
Right.
I do think your one point is, like, you come into a situation where, if you will, you almost won too fast.
That's a very interesting
point. It's because they didn't know how to deal with it. They didn't know how to deal with winning and being successful. And you were primed, because you were in the top 20 this year.
Twice.
And you were primed with everybody returning next year to make a legitimate state championship run. Mm-hmm. I think they just proved it. They weren't ready for that. They didn't know how to deal with that. I think overall, would you change a lot of stuff?
On how I did everything?
Well, probably not in the gym per se.
I don't think I would. I think I'm going to coach the way that I coach, and I want to be at a program and stay at a program where I align with the higher ups, and we're all on the same page, and we're all trying to accomplish the same goals. And I think it's better to be in that type of a program and that type of an atmosphere. I'm clearly, what I did gave us success, and how I did it. And I come from a very extensive playing background. And whether my coaching career started now, even though I did coach in France as well, I have taken a lot from all the coaches that I've played for and that have coached me, and I've kind of made it my own, and I'm very happy with all of it.
I have told this to a lot of people along the way, and I think it's critical that obviously the people you need to align right off the bat are your administration and your athletic director, your spouse, because that's the person who listens to crap in the stands. But up until probably the last decade, every job I left was because the athletic director left. And that was my support base. And if you don't have that person in your corner, then you've got a serious problem. Now, you came in with your AD, and he told you that he was all about it.
Big fan.
But he really wasn't, was he?
Because I don't know if I'll ever find that out, the truth behind that.
Well, I think he was more vulnerable to the people that complain. Mm-hmm. If I'm an AD or anybody in any situation here, yeah, there's going to be detractors. There are people who don't like what we do. Fine, that's great. You listen to them, but then you go find others who are your supporters, that are in your corner, and that are going to counter what you're doing and you weigh a decision based on that. And I think that sometimes gets lost at the high school level. We talk about the squeaky wheel, who needs the oil, and then who can help that situation.
I think you just gave a great idea that we should look into bringing on an athletic director that has been a part of the system. I think that would be a very interesting to hear what they have maybe dealt with, if they'd be willing to share.
See, we start these things and we come up with future episodes as we go along. That is a great point, because I would love to hear their perspective, what they hear, what they go through, and how they defend it, or are we in trouble?
Right.
I from your standpoint, one of the things you had mentioned earlier was you were talking about if the program's not quite as successful. We had a couple injuries this year. Things didn't go our way. I don't know if I ever had an issue with them playing the system. They played hard. They did everything you asked them to do to the best of their ability. We just weren't talented enough to compete. Well, we competed, but I don't think we were talented enough to get where we wanted to go. And if you take the two players that didn't show up, one girl's with a knee, not her fault, right. But I think that we certainly would have made a step in that direction. But I think from the same thing would have happened with you. If you had only won 10 games, I don't think the effort from those kids or the change of thing would have really been much different, because they bought into what you were looking for and they played their guts out. Yeah. When they had success, how they dealt with that was interesting. You want to talk about that a little bit with your players?
What do you mean?
Did you feel effort changed when things were going good or bad? Did you feel that certain people got big heads?
I think it's interesting you say that, because I think that when we would get down, I think in the beginning of the season, when we would get down, we didn't realize that it can be a 15, 20-point swing like that. And I think because we experienced that at the beginning of the season, it helped us later on, because I would refer back, like, let's say we would be down by 10, and I'd be like, guys, we got a whole game to play still. Remember this game? We were down, and then we came back, and we ended up winning by 20. So that made it easier that we dealt with that adversity early. But I would say they realized, okay, confidence, when you start winning, confidence helps. Confidence helps with your shooting. Confidence helps with scoring. I just think what you have to make sure is that your leaders at the top, if things aren't going well, that your best players on the court are still motivating and they're still doing their job within the system. Because if they stop, then all your other girls are looking at the head of the group. And
right.
if if they're spiraling down or don't want to be there or not feeling good, then they're going to be like, oh my God, what are we going to do?
Nobody to pick them up.
Yeah. But as the leader, yes, is that hard? Of course it's hard to always have to be on and always have to make sure that everybody else is good and no one's really worried about you. But I wouldn't say within high school that anyone got a big head in high school season. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because till the end we were successful and had a close game. So it's hard for me to say that. Yeah, it's hard for me to say that.
Okay, let's talk about the X's and O's side of our reflection here. Because one thing you just stepped into, you lost your first 2 games of the season, and then you came back with some really impressive efforts in the next 3 or 4, and you went on a little winning streak. But as you went along, one of the comments I heard from somebody else, it was as a media person, everyone's starting to catch on to what you're doing. Did you ever feel that was really the case?
I just don't think that's something that we care about. Like, we have a podcast on this.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's so. But as hard as you could call it gimmicky, whatever it is, you still have to play against it. You still have to play against it, and yes, stop it and run with us and defend it and break the press and do all those things.
Okay, so now let's talk about X's and O's. In your case, would you change anything? Would you teach anything differently? Would you do order of teaching, maybe anything like that? What do you? What jumps off the table at you?
Yes, I would start with defense more and the back of the press. I would start that earlier instead of starting with offense. I would probably rep out the defense more, and especially the back of the press and rotating back, because I think that's where we got caught a lot, especially that we didn't have bigs. Yeah, I would say that for sure. In terms of skill work and all that, I think we worked on the right stuff, but I would say defensively put a little bit more into that in early on, because it would have solved a lot of those couple losses. I think that's where we faulted.
That's
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know if that would have changed one of those losses. One of them it might have. As I watched both those
I think
games.
the best thing that happened to us is that we got blown out the first game, and then we lost a close one the second game. Like, I really do.
I'm glad this is on film, since when I told her that, she told me I was full of it.
We don't have the first game on film, though.
All right. How about maintaining as you go through? Like, you teach everything, you go through, and then you refine, and you refine. As you go along, is there a boredom factor? Is there how did you deal with that part of it? Or like, we're practicing too long?
I would say recovery at the end ended up being a big factor for us. We couldn't recover fast enough. Because
This is a great episode, guys, because I swear to God.
No, but I also tightened my shifts towards the end of the season. So
Right.
I had players that weren't playing so many minutes at the beginning of the season that were playing more, which I think is easier to do at the high school level. But yes, for sure, the recovery at the end and just keeping everyone healthy. I think the big thing in making a postseason run is you need to be healthy. You need to have bodies. You need to. They can't. I mean, it's like a lot of kids give up, and it's girls basketball, boys basketball. Obviously, we have different viewers, but it's a long season. Basketball season is a long season, whether college or high school. College even longer because we start earlier, but it's a long season, and the players need to, I don't want to use the cliche term burnt out, because they're obviously there to play, but you have to keep them engaged. You have to think of creative things towards the end of the season to keep them engaged. Yeah.
It's a challenge, no question about that. I think you're obviously, in my case, the limiting how much practice time you're in and keeping things fresh in that respect is important, because it is a long season. And you're right, if you're going to make a state run, you got to be fresh. If you're fresher than everyone else, you're okay. You got a shot.
Yeah.
And not to say that caught up with you, but I thought in some respects this is a bad word to use, but your immaturity in the sense of they've never been in those situations, never won a district, never been in a regional, never been in at the next level. I think that it can be overwhelming, and the gravity of the game can weigh on kids. They're not used to that. They don't understand what that even is, and that's a problem. All right, so let's talk. Obviously, you don't know if you're going to get an opportunity right away. You will. That's not going to be. But in your mind right now, as you mentally say, all right, I'm going to go to high school Z. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to change. This is how I'm going to look at it.
I would first have to see personnel. I would have to make sure I have the right personnel, because it's kind of like at Groves. I knew my first year when I got there, I knew I was probably going to run it, but I knew that first year there's no way we're ready to do this right now. So,
well, review for everyone there. What did you run your first year?
Oh, tons, all my European stuff and my college stuff. Horn set, a lot of pick and rolls, more zone presses. It's funny, I didn't press that much when I was coaching my other stuff, but just obviously it's considered traditional, but more European style for sure.
And at some points in that first year, you had 3 players and 2 in uniform.
Yeah. I mean, but I did implement, I want them to shoot a lot, get a lot of threes up. Like, we did shoot a lot of threes my first season and played fast. They all had the green light. So it's like I was almost, what's the word, grooming them to
Sure.
that we're going to do this, but I just didn't tell them.
Okay, and that's last summer was important, but let's just say you were going back to Groves. How would you approach this summer?
It would be continuing on skill work. I need more ball handlers. Can't put so much stress on one point guard. I would just work with them all summer. I mean, if I'm trying to go for a state championship, it's work, getting players in the gym, getting them to be there. That's really what it is. I mean,
Right.
you just have to keep improving, because it's at the high school level, it's what you have. So it's like you're either going to make them better and have a successful season the next season, or you're just going to deal with the same things that hurt you in the previous season.
I would let's wrap this up just a little bit, but here I believe that was, first of all, a tremendous experience for you to go do. You certainly changed some lives there and had a lot of success. Disappointing that it was terse at the end and all of a sudden you were resigning. But it just leads you to the next opportunity, and it leads you to the next way to do it. And you're right about you look at your personnel, so all of a sudden you go run the system someplace else, it's going to look very different 100%. Than what you did there, even though it's the same. It's not. It's because the personnel changes. All right, the last thing I want to talk about before we exit out of this, because we're already going a little long, what about the people that, as they do it, look at it like, I don't have the personnel, and they are leaning toward bailing on it? How did you had a Division I point guard. That changes a lot of things. But what keeps you in?
Perfect example, look at University of Tennessee this year. She bailed on it and now regrets it. We saw everything that came out of that. The coach is the head of the troop. Like, you have to believe in it and buy into it and be okay with you could call it the consequences of what happens with it. It's at the end of the day, it's your career on the line. It's not your assistant coaches, it's not your players, right? Like, you take the blame whether you win, whether you lose, whether you take the blame of it. That's just how it is.
You get blamed for winning. There you go.
Yes.
Think about that.
Yeah. So it's like, at the end of the day, you have to be sold on it, and you have to get your kids to buy in. That's where it starts from. And I think you need good people around you, a good coaching staff, and you might need an assistant telling you, like, we're going to be fine. Like, I think that could be a whole separate topic.
I do think your assistant is critical in the sense of making sure that you hold your feet to the fire. We're doing this, stay in this, do it, because it's not about the winning and losing. It's about the improvement. It's about more kids getting on the court, figuring out what's going on, and you will succeed based on the fact that more kids are capable of playing down the road.
Yeah.
It will happen.
Yeah.
All right, so one of the things we're talking about in the next episode, we got a couple coaches that we want to get on.
Yeah.
We've got an athletic director now you want to get on. And I want to talk about preparation for next year in the weight room, conditioning, skill work, being more specific on that kind of stuff. Because in our case, for example, since we're always teaching every group that comes in, there's some things I need to have those kids prepared for when they walk in the door. Whereas if you're in a high school situation, it flows. You can get some things perpetuated. So,
For sure.
Anything else you want to add?
Make
Not
sure
that we didn't let you talk the whole time.
That's okay. Make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us for more, and we'll be back soon.